Welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Today we have a bunch of basketball games to discuss. We have 3 Bucks games, 2 Badger games. So we're going to start with the Bucks. We have Bucks at Wizards, Bucks at Celtics, and then the Bucks against the Bulls from last night. We're going to recap the games. We're going to recap the Badgers' wins against Minnesota and Ohio State. We're going to hit the intro. And we're going to get started with the basketball games.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Alrighty, so we are in a weird spot with the Bucks. So we had 3 games last week. They lost 2 of them. One of them was a close game. One of them was a not at all close game. And then they won a game last night playing with even fewer players than they had available for the previous 2. So we're in a super weird spot with the Bucks. Also, while the trade deadline is approaching tomorrow, so the Bucks are in a really weird spot, and we're going to see what they do at the trade deadline. Jake and I have been pretty vocal that we don't think Giannis is going anywhere anytime soon.
No,
especially not between today or tomorrow. So
especially after that interview, dude. Like,
right. So he's not going anywhere today or tomorrow. The Bucks are more likely going to be bringing somebody in, and being in a situation where they try to increase their flexibility to do more stuff in the summertime. Similarly, like when they traded Chris Middleton to the Wizards, they did it to start increasing their flexibility.
Yes.
So I still think that's where they're going to go. I think they're going to try to bring somebody in, either one of the big names that's out there, like if they go for something like a Ja Morant type deal, or something small, like just trading Bobby Portis. There's a lot of rumors floating around that the Bucks are working on trying to trade for Cam Thomas. So that would be something that gives you potentially a little bit of boost for the rest of this season, while increasing and keeping flexibility in the summertime to be able to do more trades and have a draft pick if they can unload some of their expiring deals for draft picks. That's the kind of stuff that I think they're going to do versus making like a big swing at this year's trade deadline. But let's start with Bucks and Wizards. And Jake, give me your thoughts from that one.
Yeah, not a lot of thoughts with this game. This game was very, very frustrating for me personally. Losing this one by 10. You got out rebounded 61-43. You just got your ass whooped physicality wise in this one. That's just unacceptable in my opinion. We talked last week about, goals, and I kept that sheet over here on purpose because I wanted to talk about it again. We talked about having a reality check to expect inconsistency, new goals. We went over silver lining, lineup experimentation, which honestly, we really didn't see until last night's game, if I'm being completely honest with you. Hello, Taylor. How you doing, buddy? We talked about a bunch of stuff. We deep dive. We did a deep dive into primary creators, usage increases, what player responsibility increased the most, all that kind of contextual stuff. And we wanted to give you guys an outlook on what we're looking for and what the Bucks should be looking for. One thing that we both have always talked about with all of our teams is we do not want to question if you're playing hard. Why are we questioning if you're playing hard? That's unacceptable. During the season where, Kevin Porter Jr. has been up and down, Giannis has been up and down, you got guys playing for their careers. Miles Turner has come in and, he came in talking about how the grass is greener where I am. And, he played a good game in this one, 21-14, a double-double for him. But a lot of times it really looked like he was rebounding by himself. And I felt that way in the Boston game as well. Bobby, I know that you're going to look at the box score and see that he had 7 rebounds. I'm going to be honest with you. The next 2 games that I talk about, it looked like Bobby Portis was standing there about 40% of the time. I'm not even kidding you. And I think I'm going light on that number. Gary Trent Jr. didn't have a good game. A person that did have a good game in this one is Pete Nance. I have a lot of good things to say about Pete Nance this week. I love the role that he's etching out. I love that he's being vocal, and I love that he never stops moving. I love that so much. That makes me so happy.
Yep.
But losing the rebounding, 61-43, you give up 18 offensive rebounds, unacceptable. Turnovers, we had 9 turnovers and scored 9 turnovers to 25 assists is pretty good ratio in my opinion. Wizards only gave up 6 points on those 9 turnovers. Washington had 13 turnovers. The Bucks gave up 14 points. So you lose the points off turnovers battle as well. You win the points in the paint, which is actually pretty good. You won that by 2, 52-50. And then you lose the fast break points. And this team needs to play faster. I've talked about it before. I'm going to keep talking about it till the end of the year. The way that this team is made, they need to play faster to get shooters open. Their half-court offense, they don't have a point guard on the roster right now. I mean, outside of Kevin Porter Jr. at times, Ryan Rollins every once in a while, that could set guys up consistently. With open shots, they don't run enough good sets. They need to play faster to get shots up early.
And I want to use that specific aspect to answer Taylor's question, because when watching the broadcast, you can hear Doc Rivers trying to tell the guys to go. You can audibly hear him saying, go, get the ball up. You can hear him saying that. So to ask Taylor's question, is Doc still the right choice or a good choice right now? Right now, there's nothing you're going to do by firing Doc Rivers that's going to benefit you. Mm-hmm. We obviously already saw that with Adrian Griffin. When you fire a coach mid-season, it leaves you with far fewer options. Unless you're going to roll with an interim head coach, which fine, but how much do you really think is going to change if you put Darvin Ham at the head coaching position?
Exactly.
You're better off just riding it out this year. And I'm going to use this to just go into this. You're better off just riding it out this year and doing a full search in the summertime. And that ties in exactly to what Jake and I are talking about with how we view the Giannis stuff, that you get to the summer, you lay out a plan and say, here's what we can do. This is what we want to do. Do you want to be a part of it? If so, sign on the line. Going into next year is going to be a completely different thing, though, Taylor. We have to see how Giannis's health is going to play out the rest of this year. We have to see how between today and tomorrow the trade deadline play out this year. And then we have to see what free agency looks like in June. We have to see what the draft looks like in June to really be able to say, like, what coach should they take care of. So as far as if they're not listening to him fully, I don't necessarily think that they're not listening. I do think there is an aspect of execution. Yeah. And to Jake's point, talking about Ryan Rollins specifically, he does push the ball once in a while. But once in a while when he's pushing the ball, he's doing it to go do something that I've harped on a lot, which is to try to shoot a contested layup over a taller defender. Mm-hmm. Like, my guy, you are not going to score on a 6'11" guy in the restricted circle while you're both moving. At least not often enough that it makes it a worthwhile or an efficient option to shoot the ball that way. Mm-hmm. Which I'm going to say something similar when we get to the other games. But Taylor, let's stick to just being ball knowers and not coaches.
Yeah, I'm not at that level. I'm not going to pump my chest to be a head coach in the NBA. That's insane.
So, did you have anything else you wanted to say about the Wizards game? I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were talking about playing faster, and Taylor brought up a point about coaching. So, I just wanted to say, you can hear Doc during games, during broadcasts, you can hear him saying, go.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I do want to throw that out there because there's still so much fire Doc. It's not like it's a kid with a box of crayons out there coaching. Doc Rivers obviously has lots of NBA experience. Is he the best coach in the NBA? No. Is he the worst coach in the NBA? I don't think the answer is yes. I think there's worse coaches out there, which obviously isn't a great spot you want to be in. But again, I don't think they benefit at all by firing him in early February when the season's going to end in early April.
Exactly.
So looking at the Bucks and Wizards game, this game was kind of what I mean when I say to soft tank. Because the Bucks are definitely going to win some games playing the way that they played this game, especially offensively, if they shoot better from the three-point line. Hello, Bulls game. So I like that I wrote that in my notes, and 2 games later it came true. Right after it became really, really not true in the Celtics game. But that's neither here nor there. AJ Green was 0 for 5. Cole Anthony was 1 for 6. Gary Trent Jr. was 1 for 5. So, just looking at those 3 alone, you're talking about 14 missed threes between 3 guys. Yeah. Looking at Kuzma, I liked seeing him play well downhill, especially in the second half. He scored 15 of his 19 points in the second half. He had in my opinion, he had a pretty good, great value Giannis type game. He had 19 points. He had 9 rebounds and 6 assists. That's what I mean when I'm talking about Kuzma being great value Giannis. And you look at his play style, and it fits, which is why I've been saying that since the second week of the season. Taylor, I don't think media needs to be demolished. I think just a 4-letter network needs to be demolished. Just needs to be unplugged.
Yep.
The 4-letter network just needs to be unplugged.
Hi, baby.
So looking at Miles Turner, like you said, he was working really hard in the paint on both ends. He was 2 for 6 from 3, which is okay, but he was 6 for 10 on 2s and grabbed 14 rebounds. 3 of them came offensively, and he contributed 4 second chance points with that. That 14 rebound performance is his most in a game since November 7th, 2021. That is the most rebounds in a game that Miles Turner has had in over 4 years.
It's impressive.
That is very impressive. He had 15 on November 7th, 2021. And then he added 6 blocks in this game to go with his 21 points. Sorry. Taylor said social media too. I mean, there are good ball knowers out there. It's just hard to find them, to be honest with you, Taylor. I'd like to put us in that conversation, and I think we do a pretty good job of staying level-headed when it comes to stuff. Versus some of the stuff that's out there, the knee-jerk reaction type stuff, the saying stuff for clicks, the clickbait stuff. That's just not how we operate.
No.
I would rather us post once a week than 5 times a day. Just because we don't want to be here. We're not here for clicks. We want people to respect our opinions more than we want them to just click on our stuff.
I agree.
So, moving on, Ryan Rollins, he got a lot of work with ball pressure versus taller defenders. That is something that I want him to get a lot of experience with the rest of this season. He had a good 3-point night, shooting 3 for 5 on threes, and he played aggressive until getting his leg rolled up on, which it was good to see that wasn't a lingering issue. He did a better job of distributing, not forcing. He had 17 points. I think he had 6 assists and then 4 steals.
He had 8. Rollins had 8.
Yeah, my handwriting was really shitty on that. So
all good. I got your back, man. I got the assist.
The 2 things that I wanted to say that need to be different. Fouling. There were at least 3 really bad fouls on jump shooters. Bobby and Pete Nance both fouled 3-point shooters, and Ryan Rollins committed a flagrant foul by landing under a jump shooter's foot. Those are things that, regardless of the talent level on your team, that's stuff you just got to fix. And then this isn't necessarily on the players. This is more on officiating in the league as a whole, something that we haven't seen that's not new to us by any means, but a free throw disparity. It's ridiculous. First half, the Wizards took 17 free throws. The Bucks had 3. Second half, the Bucks were more aggressive, but the game ended with the Wizards taking 25 or 28 free throws, making 25, and the Bucks being 7 for 9 on free throws.
Yeah.
For as downhill as as Kyle Kuzma and Ryan Rollins are playing, just those 2 alone, this team should not be taking 9 fucking free throws.
They should have at least 5 apiece between.
I would say Kuzma should be taking 5 or 6, and Rollins should be probably taking 4 or 5.
Yeah,
and that's just those 2, and those 2 aren't even your bigs.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't tell me Miles Turner never gets fouled on a shot. And you can't tell me that as much as Bobby Portis plays in the mid-range aspects of the game, can't tell me Bobby never gets fouled when he's going up for shots or rebounds or putbacks.
All right.
It's ridiculous that a Bucks-Wizards game has a minus 16 free throw differential with, like I said, Ryan Rollins and Kyle Kuzma playing downhill as much as they are. It's ridiculous. There's not a single NBA game that should have 9 free throws taken by a team unless they're shooting 75 threes.
Yeah, they only
not the case for the
38.
Yeah.
38 is a light number on attempts for threes in today's NBA.
Yes. I would say 40 is probably pretty average, but
yeah. Probably.
So it's ridiculous that a game where guys are playing downhill, the Bucks are shooting 9 free throws.
Right.
Okay. Going into Bucks Celtics, this game I did not have a lot to say. The Bucks jumped out to a 12-0 lead, which was great. Celtics went on a 13-6 run. Bucks got outscored 30-16 in the second quarter, and that was pretty much where all the air was out. Now, I have one very, very specific gripe to make, and this goes for Ryan Rollins. This goes sometimes for Kyle Kuzma. This goes for Bobby Portis, absolutely. This goes for Gary Trent Jr. This Kevin Porter Jr. sometimes, if you think you got fouled and the ball is live, take it up with the ref on the next dead ball. I am fucking sick of seeing teams go on a 5-4 transition fast break because somebody stayed behind to argue about a ref or argue with a ref about a no call. All you're doing when that happens is hurting your teammates. They're not going to give you that call if you stay behind and argue while the other team's going on a fast break.
Yeah.
That does nothing for you. All it does is hurt your team. Stop complaining to the refs while the ball is live. Wait till the next dead ball, then go say, hey, did you see him hit me on the arm? Did you see him grab me? Did you see him push me while I was in the air? If you turn around and look at a ref while the ball is live and the ball's going down the other way and you turn around and go, that's a foul, you're giving the other team a 5-on-4 head start for 3 seconds. Doesn't take that long in the NBA to score in transition.
Yeah.
All that does is hurt your teammates. It does nothing else for you. Guys, gotta stop complaining about no foul calls while the ball is live. Going into the game itself, Ryan Rollins, he's got to make better passes. He had 12 points in the first quarter, which is great, but he also had 3 turnovers. Putting yourself on pace for 48 points is great, but also putting yourself on pace to end up with a double-double of points and turnovers is not a great situation to be in.
It's true.
He didn't have any turnovers in the final 3 quarters, so that's fantastic. He finished 10 of 16 from the field. He made 3 of 4 of his threes, missed 2 free throws, but that is what it is. He had 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. That's great. Great. Pete Nance, like you said, I love his energy. He just, one thing that I would say, this is a very, very constructive criticism thing, and this is something I would hope that he gets worked on with guys like Vin Baker and obviously like a guy like Giannis and even Miles Turner. He's got to learn when opponents are going to drive the ball and they're going to dribble against him, he's got to learn angles. He's got to learn his angles where, he needs to not like turn and run. He's got to be able to slide his feet back up a couple steps and then take an angle like corners do versus wide receivers. If somebody's running down the sideline, you got to take an angle to meet them to where they're going. So that's how I'm thinking about Pete Nance defending the dribble. That's one thing he's got to learn. He's got to learn angles. So that's a constructive thing. Taylor asked, is Nance more of a power forward than a center? I would say 100%. He is absolutely a power forward.
He's playing some small forward. He's not playing center.
He's like 6'10", maybe a tall 6'9", but I would absolutely say he's a power forward.
Yeah, he's a forward.
And the way that I see him and the way that I'm looking at him rest of season is to be a potential Bobby Portis replacement.
100% to Bobby Portis replacement.
Well, I texted you that last night.
Yeah.
Looking at the three-pointers, the Bucks were 10 of 34, which is 29.4%, which is yikes. They were 29 of 82 on field goals, which is 35.4%, which is yikes. I was saying last week that I'd love for the Bucks to get close to 30 assists a game. They didn't even have 30 made field goals in this game, which is scary. They allowed 17 offensive rebounds, only 16 second chance points, which is okay. I'd like them to be under 15, so I'm not going to throw a fit about 16. And then just forcing shots. There were so many guys like trying to drive to the basket, which is great. That's what you need to do when you're not making your threes. You need to drive to the basket. You need to try to get closer, try to get yourself layups, try to get to the free throw line, see the ball go in. There were so many guys who were driving, and as they were driving, going up off of 1 foot and just forcing contested runners. Kyle Kuzma can do that because that's in his bag. The runners, the running floater things, the little hook shots. Kyle Kuzma works on that stuff. That stuff's in his bag. I'm going to let him do that. But Rollins, I'd rather have.
He actually was really good in this game at finishing his layups.
He did a better job in the Bulls game, too. He did a really good job of finishing on some angles. But as long as he's not doing it against dudes that are 6 inches taller than him. Gary Trent Jr., Cole Anthony, Bobby Portis. So you guys don't need to be forcing contested runners. It's just not good shot attempts. That's the kind of shot attempts that over the last 5 years when we had Brook Lopez on the team that we've been wanting teams to shoot because it's the least set, like, rhythm type shot that you can take. Mm-hmm. I'll let you shoot 100 contested runners if it means you're not getting open threes, you're not getting layups, and you're not getting, like, comfortable rhythm dribble mid-range shots. I'll give you all the runners you want. So taking those while contested, to me, is a bad shot. So that's something that I would say is a thing to work on to not force those kind of shots. So what did you take away from Bucks Celtics?
Yeah, not a lot. First quarter ended 26-26, and then the Bucks decided to score 53 points the rest of the game. I was watching that first quarter. I was like, "Ooh, okay, we got something here. This might be a pretty good game." I was like, Celtics will probably pull ahead for a little bit. The Bucks will make it close, and then I expected the Celtics to kind of get some calls down the towards the end of the game, but the Celtics just started to run away with it. I was going to say, before I put it in on you, that I thought Ryan Rollins was a little bit better finishing in the paint. I thought Kuzma got fouled on some of his shots that were technically recorded as misses, but
yep, I agree.
It is what it is. This was the game where I really started to think like, okay, Bobby, I have seen you stand there at least 8 times in this quarter, and it wasn't just Bobby that wasn't rebounding. There was a couple of times where Ryan Rollins could have boxed this guy out. There's a couple of times where I thought AJ Green could have boxed this guy out, but Miles Turner was literally down there against 3 individuals multiple times in the second quarter alone. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's getting the shit beat out.
The thing about that exact situation is you see Miles Turner ending a game with 6 rebounds, and you're like, he's 7 feet tall. Why is he not getting more rebounds? Because when guys aren't boxing out, you know how easy it is, and Pete Nance would tell you this, to be athletic and anything over 6'4" and just run up to a 7-footer and just slap the ball out.
All they do is just slap the ball out.
All they do is get tip outs, and the ball gets tipped out to somebody like Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
And he catches it, and he gets an offensive rebound.
Exactly. So that was a big thing that I took away is they gave up 18 offensive rebounds versus the Wizards, 17 offensive rebounds versus the Celtics. They had 52 rebounds in this game. The Celtics did. The Bucks had 40.
Ugh.
Almost half of the so that's almost half of the Bucks' total rebounds, and the Bucks had 12 offensive rebounds in this game. So they literally did a terrible job of finishing defensive possessions. Only 17 assists, 11 turnovers. We gave up 15 points off turnovers. The Celtics only had 10 turnovers. They only gave up 8 points off turnovers. We had 1 fast break point in this game. No, terrible. We only scored 28 points in the paint. They scored 42 points in the paint. So I looked at the last 2 games. The shooting percentages aren't crazy for the opponent, but they're even worse for the Bucks. The opponents, the Wizards and the Celtics combined, shot 42% from the field. The Bucks shot 38%.
The Bucks, before Giannis got hurt, like I said, if they can hold opponents under 111 points, they were winning like 2/3 of their games.
Exactly.
They hold Wizards to 109 and Celtics to 107, but they just don't bring the offense.
Exactly. Celtics and Wizards combined to shoot 23 of 77 from the three-point line. That's 30%. But the Bucks shot 20 of 72. That's 27%. So where did you lose these games? Offensive rebounding. The Bucks in total, 19 offensive rebounds, and 12 of those came against the Celtics. 35 offensive rebounds between the Wizards and the Celtics. That is just horrendous.
You're almost getting doubled up there too.
14 points off turnovers for the Bucks over the last 2 games. 29 points off turnovers. Again, another almost double up.
Getting doubled up.
You're looking at these contextual things like, oh, okay, shooting percentages are down, fast break points, offensive rebounds, giving yourself extra possessions. We've talked about it multiple times. The Celtics made 12 more shots and 10 more shot attempts. So, I mean,
there's an efficiency aspect to it as well.
It's just those small things. And then you think about the offensive rebounding and, then you look at the points in the paint, you're like, that definitely could be a correlation. So those are the things that they've had to clean up since the beginning of the year when we started talking about it. There's still a problem today. And that's part of the reason why both of us are on board with getting rid of Bobby, because one of his jobs is to help rebound. And he's not doing that at a high enough clip. And I understand not having Giannis, but they were still having these problems when they had Giannis. So something has to give. One fast break point, dude. I literally laughed when I saw that. I was like, dude, one fast break point. So somebody got fouled on a fast break and made 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Absolutely ridiculous. That's all I had.
I texted you during the Celtics game, and I said, I'm like, Bobby literally only wants to shoot the ball. That's literally the only thing he looks interested in doing.
Yeah.
I just don't see him out there wanting to do anything else. I don't see him showing an effort to do anything else.
Yeah.
That's really where I'm at. And Taylor, I agree. It's time to give him a change of scenery. If Golden State is still interested, if Brooklyn's willing to take him on, if the Bucks have to attach a second-round pick to Bobby Portis to get Cam Thomas, if they're okay with that, just to help the Bucks shed a little bit of salary, that's fine. But he needs to not be on the team by tomorrow, just because the things that we want to see the Bucks get better at for the rest of this season, if they're not going to make the playoffs, is going to be harmed by Bobby being on the floor with them more often.
I agree.
As much as he is fun to have around, like Taylor just said, he's riding the coattails of being a fan favorite in the Bobby chants, which is great, and we will always love him for that. Andrew said Bobby shows effort in flexing and hard stares as well. That's fair. But flexing and hard stares don't win you basketball games unless your name's Giannis.
Yeah.
But he does very many things outside of that.
Giannis goes 37 in 30 minutes, so he's allowed to flex all he wants.
Yeah. So he probably just looks kind of checked out, in my opinion. He just looks like he's only interested in getting to his shot, and that's it. To your point on the rebounding as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Taylor said the 5'8" Bulls guy, Yuki Kawamura, reminded me of how I would look plus 2 inches. Nice. Taylor, on your subject of your point about why they don't just hustle and get aggressive for rebounds, I would say, especially to the guards, is there's so much ball watching going on. There's so many guys, and this makes Jake and I both miss Brook Lopez because he would at least box out.
Man,
there's so many guys who, when a shot goes up, they're watching it happen. And then they're waiting for the ball to bounce off the rim wherever it's going to go, and then they're trying to go to it. I remember being coached as a child. If you box out and the ball hits the ground before somebody from the other team can grab it, that is a good thing.
Dude, I literally box out better than the Bucks guards. No lie, dude.
It's just one of those things where, like we just talked about with Miles Turner, if he's having to go against 3 people because he's the only one boxing out, it only takes one person to get 3 fingertips on the ball and slap it away from him while everybody else is staring at the ball and then staring at Miles Turner like he's the only one that can grab it, or like he's the only one that can box out. Yep. He's not. Everybody can do it. And then wondering why the Bucks give up 18 and 17 rebounds in back-to-back games.
Yep.
So let's go to the Bulls game. And the rebounding this game was so much better.
Thank you.
The Bucks won the rebounding battle 61-52. They had 4 guys with 7+ rebounds. That is awesome. That's team rebounding.
Yes.
The ball movement was great in 3 out of the 4 quarters. The third quarter, it stagnated. They had a 25-point lead, dropped down to 6, but they pushed it back to 16 before the quarter ended.
Yes.
They had 33 assists on 50 made field goals. They made 28 shots in the first half. They made 29 total in the game on Sunday. They made 28 in the first half last night.
Yeah.
Taylor, Yuki is a win for the Short Kings. So is the entire Brewers infield. But the Bucks, the ball movement, so much better. They had 8 different guys that had 2 or more assists, and they had 3 guys that had 5 or more assists.
Yeah.
And with that, the scoring was balanced. They had 6 guys in double figures.
Yes.
Plus Jericho Sims with 9 points.
Yes.
I said this to you, and I know it's a little bit of cherry picking because it's only 1 game. We don't know if this is going to continue, but Bobby Portis was out with a hip contusion, and the ball movement was better. The rebounding was better. The flow of the game was better. Again, I'm not trying to say that like Bobby is the source of all of our problems, but I think it goes to our points about what we're saying about him being kind of checked out and really only caring about getting his.
Yeah, that could be.
Really where I feel like I'm at with Bobby Portis. He cares about getting in there and getting his.
Yeah.
Ryan Rollins. I have a bone to pick with Ryan Rollins. When you get a bigger defender on you, you get Miles Turner to set you a screen, you get a 6'11 guy guarding you. The worst thing you can do in that situation is take a step back. You can do that anytime. Do it with a smaller guy on you. He won't be able to contest it as easy. That's literally the worst thing you can do when you have a bigger guy guarding you, unless he's standing 8 feet away from you so you don't drive past him. When a guy is standing square in front of you, a foot away, and you're going to try to shoot a step back, he is in the best position to contest your shot and make it harder than anybody else can for you. Stop shooting step backs against guys that are 6'11". Go by them. Go by them, and when somebody steps up, drop the ball off to your teammate for a dunk. Stop shooting step backs over taller guys. Now, he was making great passing decisions in this game. He did have a really, really nice pick and roll pass to Jericho Sims, who got to throw it on a big dunk. Who would have thought? He had another drive where he kicked it out to AJ Green in the corner, who was wide open, and he swishes a three, nothing but net. Shocker. Like,
dude, if the net wasn't there, that would have went.
Runners against 6'11 dudes and take step backs against 6'11 dudes. Yeah. When you get switches on you for guys who are not equipped to defend you, you can use that to drive and open up opportunities for your teammates. That's how mismatches work. So he did take a couple more step backs, but he did them against smaller defenders, guys that are his size, guys that are maybe only a couple inches taller than him. That's a much better decision to be making. He scored 21 points on 21 shots, which 5 of 8 on threes, which is great. But that means that he shot 3 of 13 on twos. So he's got to be more efficient. And that's why I don't particularly want to trade for Cam Thomas, because he's a very similar type situation. Like, I'm open to it, but it's not in the top 5 of moves that I would make. Now, Rollins did add 7 rebounds, 10 assists, which is great. He had 4 turnovers, which is okay. I mean, if you're looking at 10 assists to 4 turnovers, it's not a huge deal. That's 5 assists to 2 turnovers. I'm fine with that. That's fine. But if you get into a game where you have 7 assists and 4 turnovers, then we're getting a little not great. Once you get under that, like 2-to-1 assist to turnover, basically. If you're Chris Paul, then it's 3-to-1. He's going to be a free agent too. Kyle Kuzma last night. That guy did it all. He did everything. Like I said, with the Wizards game, he's playing the great value Giannis. I am well okay with it if the Bucks do not trade Kyle Kuzma, because he's doing a lot of really, really good things, and I'm liking the way that he's playing without Giannis on the floor. Not saying that I don't want Giannis on the floor, but I'm really, really happy with how Kyle Kuzma is playing since Giannis has been injured. He had 31 points last night that tied his season high. He did it efficiently. He was 12 of 22 from the floor. He made 3 out of his 5 threes. He was 4 for 7 from the free throw line. I'd like it if he can make 1 or 2 more of those. Had 10 rebounds, had 6 assists, only 1 turnover, and had a steal. That's a fantastic game for Kyle Kuzma. And the last 2 scoring plays that he had weren't made shots. They were assists. He had a kick out to Pete Nance for a 3, and he had a dump off to Jericho Sims for a dunk. Those are the last 2 scoring plays that Kyle Kuzma contributed before coming out of the game. So he was fantastic. AJ Green, he was 6'11 from the field, 5 of 9 from the three-point line. He had 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. Played good defense. That is the exact role that I want for AJ Green.
Yeah, AJ Green looked like AJ Green. That was nice to see.
He looked fantastic. That's exactly what I want you to do for $11 million a year. Mm-hmm. 17 points, 4 rebounds, a couple assists, a steal and a block, and good effort on defense. Here you go. Here's your check for $11 million. Miles Turner. He played well in the paint despite having some foul trouble. He had 15 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 2 for 3 from the three-point line. That's fine. Pete Nance and Jericho Sims, both of them actually played well off of Kyle Kuzma. Pete Nance on the perimeter, making 3 out of his 5 threes. He had 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. I texted you right after I was taking my notes on this game, right after the game. I'm like, that's a Bobby Portis stat line. 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. If Pete Nance gives you that, give him Bobby's money. I don't care. It's just another reason. Like, we can trade Bobby and let Pete Nance audition basically for his role for next season with the rest of this season. I'm not saying you need to start Pete Nance every time Giannis is out of a game, but I'm absolutely saying that Pete Nance should be playing probably 25 minutes a game for the rest of this season.
Yes.
And then Jericho Sims playing really well off of Kyle Kuzma in the restricted circle. He was 4 of 6. All of them were twos, obviously. He had 9 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists. You're looking at those two combining for 24 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists. Trade Bobby today. Don't wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
And then turnovers was the last thing I took away. They had 14, which is okay. Like, if they're in that 13 to 15 gray area, fine. I'd still like to see them playing faster if that's how many turnovers they're going to end up with. But 21 points off turnovers is too much for the Bulls. So there's still some work to be done there. So what did you take away from last night's game?
Yeah, Kuzma, in my opinion, was awesome. He played with really good strength and good pace. He did a nice job forcing the issue when the issue had to be forced. And he did a nice job rebounding. He had with the 10 rebounds. I love seeing that. And that goes back to playing with good strength and then having the ability to be a better playmaker than people give him credit for is something that we've talked about, and I love that as well. Rollins looked like a point guard last night, and something that I've taken away over the last, month and a half of Bucks basketball is they really, really need a point guard. They need a point guard of the future, a guy that they could build around, a guy who's going to just be a guy that can set up plays because Giannis is going to get to that point where, if he signs that extension this summer, whatever happens with him, but they need a guy that's going to be able to set up plays. And that's what they had in Drew Holiday a little bit. They had it in Chris Middleton. So they had the playmaking covered on top of Giannis. That's what made Giannis great is he could also be a playmaker on top of the other guys who could be playmakers. So with Rollins, his passes were not only on time, he was passing on time. I go back, that was just such a sick pick and roll that he ran with Sims, the left hand bounce and then to the slam. I was like, oh yeah, that was nice. But they were also accurate. You go back to the pass, like you talked about AJ Green, right in his shooter's pocket. And that first 3 that he made, man, if there wasn't a net there, that wouldn't have touched a freaking thing. It wouldn't have touched anything but the hardwood floor. That was straight through the rim. I was like, oh yeah, AJ's got the shot down today. He might have one of those games. And, he had a pretty good game. 5 of 9 is kind of what I expect from AJ Green. Every one of them looks like they're going in, man.
Yeah.
He also, outside of the, you bring up a good point about the step back jumpers, but, being able to be a playmaker, play defense, deal with all the full court pressure, and then still find a way to try to get your shot off, I think is a lot to ask for a young guy. But, he got his shot off. He got 21 points. And, he rebounds well for his position. 7 rebounds for a point guard is no joke. That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But then going to Pete Nance, I got to call this guy the Energizer Bunny, man.
I'm with it.
He's either setting a screen, he's moving the ball, he's going to the rim, trying to box people out on the offensive end, running back on defense, getting in the way of them, trying to tip a pass, He's everywhere at all times, and I love it. He does not stop moving. I wrote down moves himself or the ball at all times. That is what this team needs. That is infectious. Energy is infectious, and this team needed an influx of energy.
Yep.
So that was my main point with Pete Nance. Outside of the efficiency numbers, he was very efficient. We went over it 6 of 8 from the field is awesome. I love that.
Yep.
And then I wrote down about Jericho Sims. 9 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, 4 of 6 from the field. He played 21 minutes, and he went plus 29 in those 21 minutes. Led the team. He also had a block. He played true to his size and his position. So I loved everything that I saw from Sims. I want Sims and Nance to get a boatload of minutes, and I actually liked Amir Coffey starting on the floor. That was a nice little touch that Doc put out there. Also, Ajax getting some early minutes. Why can't we just throw him out there? I mean, at the point that we're at in this season, you might as well find out what you have in him. He looked like Ajax of old. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He had a nice steal and a dunk. He had another one where he drove and he found Miles Turner in the corner, and Miles Turner cashed the three-pointer. It's like those are the small things that lead to big leads. Getting tip passes, getting runouts, crashing to the rim, being a rim runner, and then finding your teammates open in the corner. Those are the things that add up. Also, shout out to Cole Anthony. He had a pretty good game too for his limited role. 4 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Having 5 assists for a guy limited is pretty good. The ball movement was elite, and hearing that Pete Nance was the guy in the huddle saying we need to keep moving the ball, that just makes me like him even more. So that's what I got from this Bulls game. Hope what we got next is we play the Pelicans tonight. So hopefully they can get 2 W's in a row. That'd be pretty nice.
Yeah. So Pelicans tonight, Pacers on Friday, and then Monday they are at Orlando. So we'll have 3 games between now and next Wednesday. If something insane happens between now and the trade deadline, we'll get to that. Yep. We'll maybe do something special either tomorrow or Friday if something crazy happens. Yep. But if things happen as we kind of expect them to, we'll just be back next Wednesday with those 3 games. So anything else you want to say on the Bucks?
Quick, before we move on to the Badgers real quick and we invite Mike in, the Bucks are only 5 games behind the Magic for the 8th spot. So I'm just saying the season's not over, but they have an opportunity. I mean, Pelicans and Pacers, they suck. If they can win those 2 games and you win back-to-back versus the Magic, who knows? Crazier things have happened in the world of sports.
Yeah. And Giannis was doing some on-court work yesterday. He wasn't doing a lot of jumping, but he was doing some shots and some side-to-side stuff. So It does sound like regardless of what happens, Giannis is going to be back on the floor this year. I just want them to be 100% sure that he is at 100% before they put him back on the floor, because I don't want to see his calf strain turn into an Achilles tear.
Yeah.
So he needs to be 100% before you put him back out there.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. All righty. We're going to switch to the Badgers then, and we'll bring in Mike. So here we go. All righty, Mike, welcome back. So we got 2 Badger games. We have 1 against Minnesota and 1 against Ohio State. So we'll start with Badgers and Minnesota. 2 really kind of weird games, especially when it comes to the first half of both of these games. But let's start with Badgers and Minnesota. Mike, what'd you take away from the guards?
Yeah, obviously not a great way how we want to start off a basketball game, but as you said, a win's a win at the end of the day. But to start with Nick Boyd, he was off to a very, very slow start, kind of as this whole team was. But he did finish with 21 points in 33 minutes. He was 4 of 9 from 3. Did get 1 rebound, 5 assists. Unfortunately, he did have 5 of the team's 13 turnovers. It was not the Nick Boyd that we're accustomed to seeing. I want to give props to Minnesota. I think this is the second game, obviously, when we play them, that they have slowed us down, specifically Nick Boyd. They definitely put him out of rhythm multiple times, I would say. Definitely not his best night. But, I would say he struggled kind of, again, like last game. He struggled to get downhill against this team. But, again, that's props to Minnesota and what they were trying to do to us. They took away Nick Boyd's bread and butter, I guess you could say, so to speak. But eventually there was some holes that opened up in that zone in the second half, and they basically were daring Nick Boyd to shoot the 3 ball at times. And thankfully he was able. It did take him a while to get going, but he was able to cash on, like I said, 4 of those. But he didn't score until literally the last second of the first half, which was obviously a big problem with this team only getting 17 points. But it was good to see him rally the second half. The team started 1 of 7 from the field. That's not always great. And when Nick Boyd and John Blackwell combined start 2 of 15 going into that first half, that's a bad sign. But, we were able to recover, thankfully. Like I said, Nick Boyd's threes definitely got the spark going for us. We were able to take advantage of some of the looks that we got. It also did help that they were playing 6 guys, I would say, for the most part, too. But, a win's a win at the end of the day. With Jack Janicki, he did get 23 minutes in this game. Again, with the expectation that I personally had for him this year, I expect him to score the ball a little bit. He really did not once again. 23 minutes, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 block. I really do think, and I'm going to probably touch base about this in the next game too. I think with Jack Janicki at the end of the day, I think basically they're keeping him in this lineup because I think you can arguably say he might be the best on-ball defender. And I know defensively as a group, we're not the greatest right now at that, but I do think that's a big reason why they continue to put him out there. I would say the top two literally are Jack Janicki and Braden Carrington for best on-ball defenders. I would argue
like John Blackwell.
I can see Blackwell.
Yeah, I would like to say that it's in spurts, like there's times where he kind of where he is there and then he's not there. So
he's got to play conservative sometimes because he gets in foul trouble. So if he can control his fouls, then I would say he's one of the best, if not the best on-ball defender. But it depends fully on how grabby he's being and how many fouls he's getting.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think that's why they basically put Janicki out there, I would say. But it is what it is. And but no, we can't have another game like this. I mean, we had more turnovers literally in the first half than total field goals. We had 8 turnovers in the first half, and we had 5 total field goals in that first half, which was ridiculous. But as a team in the second half, I love the fact we come out, we start playing defense against Minnesota. They only got 2 field goal attempts off in the first 5:42 of the second half. So that's definitely setting the tone right there. I want to say they had 2 or 3 straight turnovers too. Also,
they forced 3 turnovers in the first 2 minutes and 4 seconds of the second half, including a shot clock violation.
Perfect. Yeah, but no, that was good to see. Obviously, the 20-point comeback, great. Love overcoming adversity, but we can't have this happen, especially again if the team's at full strength. I mean, if Minnesota had Cade Tyson this game, I think we might have lost that. But this is the 7th time this season that we've trailed by 14 points or more in a game. We can't keep getting away with that by any means. But, at the end of the day, this is also 11 straight wins against Minnesota. And, it's always good beating your little brother to the west of you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was a historically bad first half. It was the lowest point total the Badgers had since the 2011 March Madness tournament against Pitt when they scored 16 in the first half. Yep. So back in the Bo Ryan days when they were trying to score.
Won both.
So they were 5 for 28 from the field in the first half, which is 17.9%, which is ridiculous. They finished 19 of 48, meaning they made 70% of their shots in the second half. They did still shoot 13 to 31 on threes overall, which is 41.9%, which you shoot over 40% from three in college basketball, you're going to win a game. Looking at it, the Badgers, like I said, they forced those 3 turnovers in the second half to start the second half. They won the second half 50 to 28. Great. And just as a team, they committed 12 turnovers that turned into 18 points for Minnesota. So Minnesota was very efficient in scoring off of the Badgers' turnovers. Looking at John Blackwell, you mentioned him and Boyd off to a slow start. In the first half, he was trying to get to the free throw line, I think. He was driving a lot. He just could not buy a foul in the first half. In the second half, he hit a 3 that cut the lead to 5. He hit another 3 that cut the lead to 2. He scored the Badgers' final 7 points, including 4 clutch free throws and a super tough three-pointer. So he finished with 23 points. He made 11 of his 14 free throws. He had 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 2 turnovers. So overall, pretty solid game from John Blackwell. Andrew Rohde made one of those 5 field goals in the first half. It was a three-pointer. The Badgers' 3rd field goal that they had made in the game, 10 and a half minutes into the game. That was his only field goal of the game. He wasn't passing, in my opinion, as crisply. He did only end up playing 19 minutes, which was his lowest total of the season. And then Braden Carrington played 26 and Jack Janicki played 23. And then obviously as we go to the Ohio State game, we know he missed that game with a wrist injury. So I didn't go back and watch the Minnesota game again because I didn't feel like doing that to myself. To see if Rohde had that wrist injury at some point during that game. But we know that it was an issue when we got to Ohio State. So I'm willing to give a slight benefit of the doubt on that. And then Braden Carrington against Minnesota, he was still that spark plug. The Badgers had 3 points in 7 minutes. He comes in, he hits his first shot, completes a 4-point play to cut the lead to 50 to 49. He scored 7 points, 2 for 5 on threes, 5 rebounds and an assist. And he played, in my opinion, a very important defensive role with Bieliauskas hurt. So, Jake, what'd you take away from the bigs?
Yeah, not much to talk about. Bielawskis only playing 5 minutes, so got 2 rebounds in those 5 minutes, and there was a big hole defensively. Obviously, we noticed that.
Yeah.
Nolan Winter, 9.7 rebounds, 2 assists. He did go 2 of 4 behind the three-point line, and I thought he was fighting like hell down there, being pretty much the only true big that played in this game. Austin Rapp didn't have his greatest game in this one. Don't worry, his moment is coming. Nobody knew that, but his moment is definitely coming. 4 points, 3 rebounds for him. And just wanted to give a shout-out to 2 people. First of all, Jack Janicki, you talked about his only not scoring. He only took 1 shot, and the block that he got was actually super clutch. It actually led to a 3-pointer, so love that. John Blackwell, he didn't shoot the ball well, 4 of 13 overall, but he scored the final 7 points for the Badgers in this game. That was a very close game, including the 2 free throws that ended this game. The Badgers only made 1 2-point shot in the second half, or the first half. 1. They made 1 2-point shot in the first half. 1. That's absolutely ridiculous. I've never heard of that in my entire life. I swear to God, I've never heard of that. I'm like, what? 1. The 4-point play was absolutely massive by Braden Carrington. It did bring them to 50-49. To that point, after he made that 3-point shot, the Badgers outscored the Gophers 32-15. And, it looked like the Badgers stole all momentum. Thank God this game was at home, because if this was how the road game started, and I know that we kind of escaped that one as well with some missed free throws at the end, but if this was the one on the road, I don't even care if Tyson was playing. I think they would have lost the way they were shooting. So thank God that this one was at home. But one last thing I wanted to say, I would love when the Badgers are struggling to score if we would get Nolan Winter in the post a little bit more. I think there's something to be said about unlocking another aspect of Nolan Winter's game. He can get people in foul trouble. He is a good shooter. Getting him in rhythm from the free throw line can give him a little bit more touch from the outside. Also, I think that he's a little bit underrated playmaker. I think that he could pass out of the post, and I would like him to be able to force some double teams out of there. So getting Nolan Winter some more post touches, I think, is something that I would consider.
Trade said Jack Janicki's a bigger part of this team than everyone gives him credit for. I think he's, like I said while Mike was talking, I think he's got some veteran presence to him. Yeah. I think that's part of why he plays so many minutes.
He's got the experience, but I also think there is there should be an expectation for him to get kind of like Austin Rapp's moment is coming in the next game, right? I do, because last year Janicki was showing those flashes too of scoring. I think of the Purdue game for one, where he absolutely just went nuclear on the road like that. I do think the experience is great. I do think there should be more of an expectation, though, for him to get, a couple more buckets a game. But I do think it goes back to show what I was kind of saying. I think the best, at the end of the day, the best on-ball defender might be Jack Janicki, which is why he's getting, these starter minutes, basically.
Yeah. So going to Ohio State, this is another game where Badgers got off to a slow start. They started 1 for 9 from the field. They made 19 of their next 27 shots for the rest of the half and finished at 70.4% in the first half, and outscored Ohio State 22-12 in points in the paint in the first half, which was great. Only scored 6 free throws in the first half. Not scored. Only 6 total free throws in the first half between both teams. I just wanted to say that. I like that. It made the game feel very smooth. It made the game feel very just well flowing when there's not constant stoppages for free throws. Trade said leadership is big. They have guys to get theirs. They need passers and unselfish players, which is Rhodey and Janicki. Which, yes, you need guys that are going to play unselfishly, but you also need guys to be threats when they're on the floor. You can't just have guys out on the floor like Andre Jackson Jr. that nobody's going to pay attention to when they're on the offensive end because they're not a threat to score.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see Rhodey have a game like Rapp did against Ohio State. So, Jake, I'm just going to give you the microphone back and take us to the man of the hour.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about Rapp after I talk about the other two, just because I want to focus on him a little bit more. Bielawskis, really, really nice game. 10-7 for him, 3 of 4 from the field. He played very solid basketball. His defensive positioning is starting to get really, really well. He's starting to understand angles better. He is going to turn into a really good player at the University of Wisconsin. Nolan Winter, 10th double-double in the year for him, 11 and 11. 0 of 5 from the three-point line, so some things to do there, but that just means that he was really good from the two-point area because he was 5 for 11 overall. Talking about Rapp, let's talk about it. The Badgers were down in this one 15-4. I'm trying to paint the picture for you guys here. Badgers are down 15-4. They're shooting terribly. And this guy just decides to go unconscious sicko mode in the first half. He makes his next three-pointers in a row. 3 straight three-pointers. He just cash. And I want to say, if you need a sign to know if a guy's on fire, probably when he grabs the ball at the free throw line, dribbles backwards, and then turns around and fires and goes in.
Yep.
That's a pretty good sign that he's on fire.
When he did that, I was like, "Oh my god, dude!"
When he grabbed it and he ran backwards, I was like, "What is he doing?" And then he shot. I said, "What are you doing?" And then it went in. I said, "Hey, what is he doing? What the hell? Let's go!"
Didn't have that on my bingo card.
Okay, so I saw him grab it and pull it out. I'm like, okay, he's gonna pull out for a reset. Then he turns, faces up, and pulls, and I'm like, whoa! And he hits it. Damn.
Okay, so all right, I'm sorry, I have to do this. A little story time. I was at Olive Garden during this, right? So he turns around, shoots a 3, goes in. I'm like, what the is going on? While all this is happening, I'm trying to pay him my gift card, dude. The thing's not working at the table, bro. I tell the guy, hey, I got $58 on this thing. The bill's $48. Just keep the rest for your tip. Thank you. You were awesome today. Guy goes in the back. Yeah, no problem. Comes back. You have $58 on your gift card. I'm like, news to me, I guess. So I take the thing, try to put it in the little kiosk thing. Not working again. I'm like, all right, call the manager over. I'm watching the game, waiting for the manager. I tell her the same thing. Hey, I have $58 on this card. There's $48 on my bill. Give the rest to the server for his tip. She goes to the back. I shit you not, 2 minutes later, she comes back. You have $58 left on your gift card. I'm like, well, who would have thought? I didn't know that. So then my girlfriend and my daughter, because that's who I went out to eat with, my sons were at the Y doing their own thing, right? I stand up. They were in the bathroom. I'm like, let's get out of here. I tried to pay 3,000 times. I guess we're eating for free today, boys.
Yeah. That's
so,
awesome.
Well, Austin Rapp is going freaking nuclear in the first half. I got to eat Olive Garden for free, so that was a great time for me. He did end the first half 5 for 7 from the three-point line, 7 for 10 overall, 19 points in 20 minutes. He was absolutely fantastic. Rapp has scored, and this is a shout out to Mike. He gave this to me before the show. Rapp has scored double digits in 8 games this year. The team averages 92.9 points when he scores in double digits. The lowest points they've scored when he scores in double digits is 85. So by that definition, he quite literally is a difference maker. Oh, by the way, they scored 92 points and he scored in double digits. So the stat checks out, boys. And if Austin Rapp is going like this, if Janicki or Rhodey find their jump shot, this team's going to be a tough out, and they're going to be a very trendy pick next month.
Yeah, and that's where we go when we get to the wings. Is Andrew Rhodey was out with that wrist injury, like I kind of hinted on a little bit. John Blackwell, he hit a pair of early threes, and after the second one, he jumped and stole an inbound pass and got a layup out of it, got a really quick 5-point possession out of it. He scored 10 of the Badgers' first 18 points before Austin Rapp decided to go nuclear and take that over. He finished with 22 points on a very efficient 8 of 13 shooting day. He was 7 for 9 on twos, 5 for 5 at the free throw line, had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 3 turnovers. And as long as he's at or under 3 turnovers, I do feel like that's a place where he can operate. Andrew said Badgers basketball and Olive Garden breadsticks is a winning combo.
Dude, it was and the Zupa soup, don't play with me, bro. That is the greatest soup on the planet.
What is it? What kind of soup?
The Zupa.
Zupa.
Has the potatoes in it, bro. It's got a little kick to it.
Oh, the spicy stuff?
Yeah.
That's what I get when I go there, too.
Yes, the Zupa is dynamite, dude.
And then Braden Carrington, this was another game where he wasn't scoring a ton. He had 7 points again and 4 assists, which was a good job to pick up for Andrew Rhodey. Had 1 rebound, had a very important block, but he made some really nice passes in the paint, but without scoring a ton, he again played a really, really important role defensively, in my opinion. I do think if we are going to be missing Andrew Rhodey, which it sounds like he was medically cleared, but he didn't feel well enough to go with the wrist, I do think that Braden Carrington should be the next guy in line to start, but I understand why they went with Jack Janicki, just to have kind of a little more traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lineup instead of a 1, 3, 3, 4, 5 kind of lineup, which is kind of how they've been operating anyways. But it is what it is. I'm not going to throw a huge fit over it when the Badgers are scoring 92 points. I'm not going to shake any sticks at 92 points. But the second half defense, Braden Carrington being a part of it, was very good. They did a good job staying vertical, which a lot of credit goes to the bigs for that as well. They did a great job rotating. They did a great job communicating well on switches, really not giving up any open shots in the second half. You can watch the game. You can hear all the players talking to each other and communicating well. And then just the last thing I wanted to say was on Wednesday against Minnesota, the Badgers allowed 18 points off turnovers. Saturday, they only allowed 6. And against that, they scored 16 of their own, coming off of only 6 turnovers by Ohio State. Scoring 16 points off 6 turnovers is insane efficiency. Mm-hmm. So much, much better for the Badgers on the margins as well. So, Mike, what's your takeaway from the guards?
Yeah, efficiencies is a big part of it. But, Nick Boyd getting back to his rhythm a little bit. 21 points in 38 minutes. 6 of 15 shooting, which it's all right. 1 of 3 from 3, but he was 8 of 8 from the free throw line. So this game definitely got back to what his style is, right? Trying to get to the hoop, draw fouls, get contact, trying to get a couple and ones once in a while. He was back to his old Nick Boyd self in this game, which was great to see. And even better, he had 1 rebound, 2 assists, only 1 turnover. So much, much better in comparison to the Minnesota game. I think the Minnesota game, 5 turnovers in a game, that was the highest he's had all year. I don't recall ever saying 5 turnovers in his part. So good recovery there. Boyd and John Blackwell got to the foul line and combined 11 times in the second half. And that accounted for 22 points total. And that's credit to Jake's boy, Austin Rapp, because when you're spreading teams out and you're hitting threes like that, that's only going to open things up for guys like John Blackwell and, Nick Boyd, who both also have the capability to shoot from the outside, but also to crash the bucket and get to the foul line and get some of those and ones. So props to Austin Rapp. And I do think I want to call out Austin Rapp too real quick. I think his defense, believe it or not, the last couple games has been better.
He's doing a really good job of staying vertical.
Yes. And he had 2 steals in that Minnesota game. He did have 2 steals, and one of which led to a huge, huge bucket. And, Greg Gard even called it out too after the game. And I think hopefully this isn't just a short sample of what, a 2-game, slide for him or whatever. Hopefully we see this the rest of the year, because like I said, that opens it up for guys like Boyd and Blackwell to do their thing mostly. So credit to him. Jack Janicki did have his first career start. The stat sheet didn't show too much, but in 18 minutes, he had 2 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists. And, at the end of the day, if he's not going to score, just don't turn over the ball or do any costly mistakes. At least, he kept it. He did keep it in check in that regard. And kind of when I was talking to the group earlier, to Tyler and Jake, I don't mind 18 minutes isn't too bad, especially at this point, because I think it's fair to say now, guys like Zach Kinzinger and Hayden Jones aren't really going to get much PT, I would say, for the rest of the year, unless there's some sort of dramatic change from an injury standpoint. So when I see, as far as minutes go, when you see Janicki's got 18 in comparison to a guy like Braden Carrington, who, 29 minutes, I don't mind seeing that. And even I know one guy started and the other guy didn't. I absolutely love seeing a guy like Braden Carrington come off the bench and just providing that extra spark, 4 minutes into the game. And hopefully he does at the same time when Austin Rapp comes off the bench, and then it'll be like, nothing's really changed, right? So just something that I was looking at, backtracking to it. But what I also loved about this, I said before, Nick Boyd had 5 turnovers against Minnesota. The Badgers only had 5 total turnovers in this game against Ohio State. So we took care of the ball, and it definitely showed. And we also had 16 assists on 32 field goals, which is pretty darn good as well. Minnesota, I think we only had about 10 or 11, which isn't terrible, but obviously a big stride at playing against Ohio State. Big picture, going into this weekend, if we can we obviously, I think, need more of that consistency. I'm really talking about guys like Rapp. Hopefully he can start to put it all together now, and we can start to really be a threat. Mentioned it before. If he can get going, that only puts more pressure on defenses. It opens it up for our guards, especially on the front court there, or back court, excuse me. But Indy, and going into Indiana this weekend, they did lose a tough one last night against USC. So they're really going to be wanting this game this weekend at home against Wisconsin. And in years past, we've had Indiana's number. I always joke to you guys, Nebraska football and Indiana basketball are two of the most delusional fan bases I've ever seen. They're all rewinding it back. They all like to, live in the glory days back in, when Nebraska was winning football championships and Indiana's 1976 national title. They like to go back to that, and they always still like to live on that. But they're both delusional fan bases to this very day. And Wisconsin's had their number for both for the most part. So, and obviously in this 3-game stretch coming up, you get Indiana. You got at Illinois, which is going to be – we saw how good they looked this past weekend. And then you get Sparty at home. It's going to be a really tough 3-game stretch here. So right around rankings, we're right around that 40 mark, which currently the Badgers are projected to be right around that 8 or 9 seed range as of now. So if we can go on the road, Indiana is going to be a quad 1 win if we can get that done. So this is an absolute big-time game this weekend. So, if we can start that, and then going into Illinois with a win like that, I think we'll be looking all right.
Yeah, that sounds good. I did pull it up. Nick Boyd does have 2 5-turnover games this year. Minnesota was one, and TCU was the other one.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, which it does. Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, oh, yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
So Mike covered it. We'll have 2 games between now and next Wednesday, Saturday and Tuesday, both of them on the road at Indiana and Illinois. So we'll be back again next Wednesday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you guys then.
Later, guys.
Peace out, man.